Hi Scorpio, this is your overview for the year ahead. I will discuss a few major transits that I think are important. Of course, keep in mind there are several other transits going on. I couldn't talk about all of them, but these are the ones that I think are really important and that will really help you navigate the year. So, of course, this video is for Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Rising is the strongest indicator, then the sun sign, and then some people do resonate with the moon sign, but I've heard that this is more usually subjective or internal. I also recommend anyone with a lot of planets in Scorpio, like a stellium in Scorpio or a stellium in the 8th house, to listen to this as well, because you may benefit from some of the themes I'm going to talk about. So the first transit I want to talk about is Venus retrograding Capricorn. So this has been an ongoing theme as Venus went retrograde December 19th of 2021. She is still in retrograde and will not go direct until January 29th in your third house. Once she goes direct, she's just going to hang out in your third house and she won't leave your third house until March 6th. So Venus is all about love, beauty, harmony, money, finance, worth, self-worth, values. And the third house is the house of communication. So it's the mind, it's thinking, like the lower mind. It can also just talk about, our neighbors, siblings, community. But when I think of the third house, I think of communication. So one way that this could be playing out for you is that Venus is asking you to reevaluate, your communication style as it relates to love and relationships. So if you have been having some communication issues, and you're wondering, well, it's not Mercury retrograde. Well, now it is when I'm recording, but it could be this, because the third house is all about communication. If you work in communications, you might be reevaluating, is this what I want to do? Am I making the money I want to make? This also rules like the things we use to communicate, like the devices, right? So how are we using them? That might come up, whether that's email or texting or all that stuff. So any form of communication is going to be up for review. There might be communication issues with your siblings. Now, I mentioned siblings, but this also is like basically family that aren't your parents or children. So your cousins, your aunts, uncles, siblings, I think I said that, yeah. So there might be some issues or topics coming up with them, whether that's around communication issues or just communication in general, or maybe even financial issues, because Venus is, we have that financial flair with Venus. There might be an opportunity through a relative, right? Whether that's like a job or some type of offering. But I wouldn't sign on any dotted lines until Venus goes direct, just because we're not really seeing things clearly. Venus also rules, not Venus, Gemini, and the third house also talks about like how we mobilize, like what do we use? So cars, bikes, wheelchairs, planes, anything we use to get around. The first thing I think of is cars. And Venus is retrograde, so if you have to buy a car, then that's different. Like if your car breaks down, but I would be very careful about buying anything like this just because of the financial implications. Not necessarily like if we buy an electronic device or a car when Mercury is retrograde, then yeah, there might be issues with the actual car. But with Venus retrograde, it might be a financial agreement that you don't want to get into. Like it end up costing you way more money. I actually bought a car years ago before I really followed the Venus retrogrades, and it was like a shadow, I think. I don't even know or it was like the end of the retrograde, and that car ended up just taking money from us. Like it was just constant, and so something like that might come up. Or you might just not like the car anymore, right? Because Venus is, aesthetics. So if you need a car, try and hold off, do your research. Sometimes people actually, I've heard Venus retrograde, you can get a really good deal. So they always say don't sell items during a Venus retrograde, because you could sell something that later on you're like, oh, I wish I kept that. So you could get a really good deal from someone else. But I just say do your research and be very careful and only buy if you absolutely have to. Overall, I think this might be bringing up issues, like if it's not just something very physical, like a vehicle or something, it's going to be about, where you are in your work and career. Are you communicating in the right ways to get you where you need to be? How are your relationships going? And if there's issues coming up in them, how are your communication styles helping or hindering them? If there are financial opportunities with your relatives, are these worth exploring? Um, I think they are worth exploring, but I wouldn't sign anything. How are you spending money on the ways you communicate? So whether you work for yourself and that's through marketing or something like that, or whether it's just your phone, your computer. So these things are going to be coming up for you. So it's not really a deep, complex Venus retrograde like some of them, but if some of these issues have been coming up, or you've been having some issues with some of these people or things, just know that it's Venus retrograde. A great way to utilize this is to research things. Like I've talked about, if you want a new phone, a new car, research. Go to therapy, especially when it comes to your communication. Work on new communication styles. And I don't think I mentioned this, but this is also the way, like, it's a thinking house. So if you feel just a bit foggy, just know that it might be Venus retrograde there. So you're gonna feel less confusion, if you already are, by January 29th. And then by March 6th, you're gonna have a lot more clarity on how you want to move forward in any of these third house matters. The next transit I want to talk about is Jupiter. Jupiter is a fun transit to talk about because wherever Jupiter goes, we are blessed and have some luck. So Jupiter is in Pisces, as I'm sure many people know, and he will stay in Pisces most of 2023. 2022. So he is in Pisces now and will remain there till the 10th of May. And then he dips out of Pisces and heads into Aries from May 10th to October 28th. And then he's going to head back into Pisces from October 28th to December 20th. And this is in your 5th house that he's in right now. So I'll talk about what it means right now, and then I'll also talk about what it means when he dips out. So right now for you guys, Scorpio, Jupiter is in a really fun house. I think all houses that Jupiter tours is great just because he is so benefic, but the 5th house is a fun house. So romance, love affairs, sex, playfulness, joy, creativity, fertility, self-expression, drama, speculative ventures, like your hobbies are in here, your talents. So, wow, this is like a really fun transit. So all these areas are due for expansion and luck. So romantically, if you're single, you're going to have a lot of offers and opportunities. Sexually, I would say the same thing. So that's good. There's going to be a lot of that on the table. What you choose to do with it is always up to you. You might just feel just happier in general, right? You might just be more carefree and want to indulge in love and romance, and you should. You might discover a hidden talent, or if you have a hobby that you're already aware of, that you love, you might be able to turn it into a business this year. So keep that in mind. If you want children, you can have children. If you don't want children, be very careful, because you could still get pregnant or get someone else pregnant. This is just, I really don't know what else to say. This is a lovely transit. Now, I will say if there are issues here, Jupiter might blow them up to make them really big, so you deal with them. But we would have to look at your individual chart. I guess you could, overdo it in love and romance, right? And there could be consequences, whatever that might mean for you. You could overdo it when it comes to, drama. Maybe like you're just being too dramatic, I guess. If you are in acting or anything like that, I think this could be a lucky year for you where you get that part. Gambling is an area I would say be careful of. While you do have a lot of luck, like you might, if you just have this like intuitive nudge to go buy a lottery ticket or go, put $5 in the work lotto, do it. But be very careful because you could overindulge in this and you might be like, oh, I'm so lucky, I'm going to go, throw down all this money, and it could work against you. So that would be my only caution there. But overall, just have fun. Have fun. express yourself, indulge in your creativity, and enjoy this transit. May 10th through October 28th, Jupiter is going to dip out of this house and go into your sixth house. So you're going to get a little bit of a taste about what 2023 will look like. So Jupiter in the sixth house is a very different energy because the sixth house is not about fun. It's about the boring things we do to maintain our existence. So it's literally our day-to-day routines, like brushing our teeth, paying our bills, walking the dog. I mean, although that's not boring, walking the dog is good. But, you know what I mean. Just all those little mundane things we have to do to function. But it's also the health house, so it covers our physical health and well-being, fitness, exercise, any organization system that we use to, better our, manage our day-to-day affairs. Pets are also in here. So if you have a health issue, you might see healing around this time, or you might be able to find the right practitioner or healer to help you. Your work and work routines might just seem better. So if you hate your job right now, you might just generally enjoy it a bit more for, why, I don't know. There could be changes at your work, or it could just be a shift within you. You might just generally start to like your exercise routine better, or you'll find something that you like. So if you are someone who wants a better workout routine or struggles with that, utilize this energy from May 10th to October 28th to put in a new exercise routine, a new diet, new supplements, stuff like that, because it's more likely to benefit you. The other thing is you could find a pet, whether you want one or not. It would be a wonderful time if you do want a pet to find one. Overall, I think that I like this. I mean, I know it's more of a boring house, but most of us dread doing these day-to-day things, and you're just going to find more pleasure in that. So I think that's a wonderful thing. So just enjoy that energy. And I would just say, focus on health. Now, I forgot to mention that because it is a health house and Jupiter expands, be careful of weight gain because you can overindulge. But if you want to lose weight, this is a really good time to implement that workout routine that would help you. Or like a lifestyle change, habit, a new lifestyle habit or routine, is what I meant. And lastly, if badly aspected, Jupiter can expand issues. So maybe an issue at work, an issue with your health, but Jupiter is there with solutions. So just know that if something does act up or get inflamed around this time, that you're going to have that energy to resolve it. The next energy I want to talk about is Saturn. So Saturn is the opposite of Jupiter. So Jupiter expands and Saturn restricts. Saturn wants us to put in a lot of hard effort, and he doesn't reward us until we've put in, a lot of the effort, a lot of the changes, until we learn the lessons. He's the he rules time and discipline and all that stuff, karma, consequences. Saturn is depression as well. So Saturn has been in Aquarius and will remain in Aquarius in your fourth house until March 2023. So he's been here for a little while. So the fourth house is the part of the house or part of the chart that is hidden, in the sense as it's the bottom of the chart. It's the part that we don't show. So it's home, family, roots, any domestic matters. It's our parents, our upbringing, our childhood psychology, our lineage, our ancestral roots. It also rules the mother because it's a very feminine energy. It's our emotions. It's literally our physical home as well. So Saturn here could manifest a few ways. There could be challenges or pressure or just more responsibility when it comes to home and family matters. So that could look like a few things. Maybe you had a child and, that's putting more responsibility on you. Maybe you're looking after an aging parent. Maybe you're living away from your extended family. And so that's where it could manifest so many different ways where there's more pressure on the home and family unit. It could also manifest in a way that your own childhood psychology is coming up to be dealt with, right? Saturn is very strict and Saturn wants you to do the work. And so if you're having some emotional issues, just know that Saturn isn't really going to leave you alone until you start addressing them. I mean, if positively aspected and you do the work, Saturn can be just more responsibility in a good way. Like you buy a home, or you move homes, like you move in with someone, and so there's more responsibility in terms of that. It can manifest a bunch of different ways. I've heard that this is one of the most, I mean, it is one of the angular houses, so it's, kind of a big deal where you're doing a lot of internal work and solidifying, your identity, your roots, where you came from, and letting go of a lot of that stuff as well. So sometimes, I read that people typically don't move in this transit, but I know when I was going through mine, I did, and it wasn't bad or anything. It was good, but there was, some more responsibility. So yeah, I mean, this transit can go a few different ways. If there were limitations that came from your early childhood issues, or how you were raised, Saturn might put some pressure there, and that can cause depression and just issues, isolation, things like that. But that might come up, but it's because he wants you to deal with them. So just know that whatever you focus on where Saturn is hitting, if you do the work, he will reward you. And that might mean, you put these issues away, right? You put them, like, not away, but you integrate them and you heal them. I know for some, the issue of like security and emotional security comes up. So if you're someone who wants to be married and have kids and don't, that might come up to the fore, right? And it's not to make you feel like you're, not worthy, but it's to show you, okay, what needs to change for me to attract these things? What do I need to do differently? What do I need to let go of to bring this energy into my life? By the time Saturn leaves your fourth house in March of 2023, you're going to have a more secure foundation, like inner security. And, that might also reflect in your outer security, right? You're going to have the opportunity to heal some of these old things and just feel more grounded, and have that home base, right? So overall, it can be a wonderful thing. Just know that if you are experiencing any of the more lower energies that I talked about, that this is just Saturn, and just keep on keeping on and you will get through it. The next transit I want to talk about is Mars in Aquarius. Now, Mars in Aquarius is a short transit. He's only there from March 7th until April 14th, but he is also in your fourth house. So the reason I want to talk about this is because we have two malefic planets. Saturn is a malefic planet, and now we have Mars, a malefic planet, in your fourth house. So that means there's a concentrated energy here. Doesn't always mean it's bad, but I wanted to talk about it just to give you, both energies of, what this could mean if it's really great, and what could it mean if it's a bit more challenging, and how to utilize that energy. So I would mark down these dates so you know, and use some of the tips I'm going to tell you to channel this energy so it can be more peaceful. So we already talked about the fourth house, so I'm not going to get into all the topics again because, home, family, etc., etc. But Mars is the planet of, drive, ambition, energy, but also conflict and war and, cutting, like literally like cutting, like physically cutting, but also, cutting someone out. So where Mars goes, there's energy, right? In the fourth house, let's talk about the more positives. So this could just be more energy around home and family. Maybe more people are coming or going. Maybe you're doing something pretty big when it comes to the home. Maybe you're renovating or moving, or there's just lots of home and family energy going around. It could be that you have more energy to deal with home and family matters. If you have psychological issues, childhood issues, if you have just things around the home that need to be done, you're just going to have more energy to get them done on a very simplistic way. So that's one of the more positive ways it can manifest. You might just be really interested in your lineage, right? You might just go on this voyage of learning about your ancestors or something like that. So it can be fun for that. Now, the more negatives, Mars is very volatile. So there could be emotional problems that get stirred up. If you have anger issues, I would be very careful that they could be triggered. And this would be triggered by like subconscious things from your childhood, right? So just be really mindful to consider the needs of the people around you and mindful of when you're being triggered, right? If there are home and family conflicts, like if that's something that's common, you could see like that could be inflamed. You'd see more fighting. You might just be fighting more within the home and family. Trying to think what else. You might have difficulty dealing with some of these old childhood things that come up, right? If you have issues with your mother, there could be some more conflict here, or women in your family in general, there could be more conflict. So keep that in mind. But I mean, it can be really good too. We just never know. Home instruction, it might just be that you're renovating. If you're planning to renovate, know that it's going to be a very busy time. If you live with your parents, this could be a more, difficult time. If you own property or something like that, or I mean, even if you don't own a lot of property, like I'm thinking of someone who owns a lot, there could be conflicts there, or like even like a property issue with a neighbor, even though this isn't like the third house, it could be something like that. If Mars is making a difficult aspect in your chart, then just be really careful when it comes to accidents in the home, like literally injuring yourself, like cutting yourself, or like a fire or something like that. But that's just, worst case scenario. I would say utilize this energy, like instead of fighting with family, use it to redecorate, renovate, change something in your house. Make sure that you're channeling that energy into something, and you want to channel it into fourth house matters. So go to therapy, for example, deal with those childhood issues, start a home project or something like that. That's a good way to utilize the energy. I mean, either way, it's not a very long transit. So if there is conflict or annoyances, just know that it will pass pretty quickly. The next transit I want to talk about is Uranus going direct in Taurus January 18th in your 7th house. So Uranus has been here for some time, since about May 2018, I think, somewhere around there. And he's, not leaving until, I think, 2024, 25. So this is, you're used to this energy by now. But the 7th house is the relationship house, the committed house, marriage house, any contractual relationship. So it could be business, it could be your clients, anything like that, any one-to-one consciously chosen relationship. So when Uranus goes direct, he can make us a bit more unpredictable, because he is the planet of kind of chaos. He's very unstable, but he wants freedom and liberation. And so you might feel the need for freedom in a relationship, whether business or romantic. If you're in an unfulfilling relationship, this might be the time when you break free from it. Even if you're happy in a relationship, you might start getting a bit restless. So do new things with your partner. Travel if you can, try new recipes, experiment, intimately, like intimacy wise, do things like that. Get out, try new things to break up the status quo versus just breaking up, unless this is something that you want to do. If you're single, you might meet someone very unusual, or you might end up being with someone who's significantly older, significantly younger, or just that no one would have ever pictured you with. Like, you might shock people with who you choose. And I mean, you might even surprise yourself. It is urged to be careful with any relationship started, just because you could be trying to escape from your normal day-to-day relationship life. So just be mindful of that. There could be more tension in a relationship, but because of your desire for freedom. And if it's badly aspected, yeah, you might end your relationship and start a new one. You could also, I've heard for some people, if you're not owning this energy, you could project it onto someone else. So you could meet really unpredictable partners, right? Where they're actually holding that energy, not you, or they're just suddenly leaving you, or wanting to, sell the house and move to Italy, or, just be a bit unpredictable and wild. So, but overall, this transit wants to liberate you in relationships to make sure you're getting the freedom that you desire. The last thing I want to talk about are the eclipses. So this year, the North Node is transiting Taurus and the South Node in Scorpio. So this is a big year for you, Scorpio, especially Scorpio rising. So the North Node is in your 7th house, and the South Node is in your 1st house. So yes, there's a concentrated energy around the 4th house, especially earlier in the year. But there's also a huge focus on relationships this year because of Uranus, but also the eclipses. So Uranus is unpredictable and out of the blue, but the eclipses can be very similar. Eclipses are sudden endings and beginnings, and they will sometimes throw us on a brand new path, especially if we're on the wrong path. So this could manifest a few different ways. You're being asked to focus more on relationships and like your partner or a business relationship, and less on self. Ultimately, you want to bring them into balance, but your needs and desires need to be brought into harmony with the needs and feelings of a partner, or any, like I said, one-to-one relationship around you. You could meet someone around this time and feel like it was destiny, and it probably is. Whether this person is in your life forever or just a little chunk of the journey, they will be pivotal on your path in some way. If you are someone who's more like dominating and more like self-focused, this could be the year where you really have the chance to kind of shift that energy, and you become just more conscious of the people around you, and more in harmony. And that's a really beautiful thing. If you are not in the right relationship, that will end somehow, whether you choose to end it or whether the universe takes them out. Typically, these are people who know that they're not in the right relationship. But yeah, if you're single and you want to meet someone, this is the year that you probably will. So, I mean, marriage might be on the table. Even if you're someone who, didn't want to be married, you might find yourself, committing to someone. If you already are married, this could just increase harmony with your partner, or you could just have new beginnings with your partner. Now, the South Node is in the 1st house, so just keep in mind that your trap might be to go at it alone. So if you're someone who has like commitment issues or something, they might be a little triggered, but you're actually being called to move toward partnership, whether that's business or, like I said, romantic. And just really focus on those Libra 7th house tendencies. So cooperation, compromise, harmony, and trying to put that other person's needs, I don't want to say ahead of yours, but just more in focus. So my prediction is that a lot of Scorpio risings, especially maybe some suns, but the risings in particular, will be aligned to the person that they will spend a significant amount of time with in this lifetime, whether that's life or like 10, 20 years. If that's not the case, then whoever you meet will significantly change your life in a major way. So I'm excited for you guys. The dates are on the screen. So although this transit is throughout the whole year, these dates are when you might notice this energy, it's more concentrated. You'll notice these themes a bit stronger. I will say also, I mean, the 7th house, I always tend to focus on love and, marriage and business, but it can also be friendship. I mean, I've had 7th house transits that brought in my one-to-one friendships more. So you could also meet more, aligned, people to you that are your tribe. So I thought I would just add that in. But overall, that's your year in a glance. I hope that it was, somewhat clear. I didn't take notes. I just sort of spoke. So I hope that I was organized. If you found anything helpful or resonate with anything, please comment. I'd love to learn and hear. If something wasn't mentioned that's related to one of these transits I talked about, please comment. I love to learn. Other people can learn too. And just like, share, subscribe if you gained anything from this at all. And stay tuned for some more videos.